Welcome everyone to the BattleBots Reviewer YouTube channel. Today we're coming at you with a little bit of a different video. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 cards in the card game Historical Conquest. And some of you might not know it. It's a card game like a lot of other card games, except you're battling with actual historical figures, events, and all that stuff. So I'm going to be giving you my 10 cards that I think are the best in the game right now. And last year or so there was a big change where Historical Conquest went from 1.0 to 2.0. And so some of the cards got changed in that transition, and so, but they are all still playable in tournaments. So I will be specifying whether I am referring to the 1.0 or 2.0 version. If you guys like this kind of video, be sure to like so I know, so I can put more stuff out there like this to you guys. But kicking it off, at number 10 is Little Willie. Technology, this is the 2.0 version. It is a hold 2. It says choose one land of your choice. Evades all negative effects in battle for the next 2 rounds, or it wins any 2 attacks against any opponent. What makes Little Willie so strong is the second half of that choose. It wins any 2 attacks against any opponent. There are a lot of cards in the game that say you win an attack against an opponent. Little Willie says you win 2 attacks. And it's a hold 2 effect. So essentially this card alone can win you 4 attacks. Guaranteed. Which is absurd. That's unheard of in this game. So, very strong card. At number 9, I have Leader, the 1.0 version of Mohato Musashi. He's a leader, he's 500 strength. His effect says, Mohato teaches your characters to fight. Increase their strength by 500 points. Now on the surface it sounds like, oh, that sounds pretty good. I mean, how strong really is it? Well, if you think about it, he teaches your characters to fight. He's a character, so he gives himself 500, so he's basically 1,000. And he teaches all your other characters. So his effect alone, in a land with 4 characters in it, will increase your strength by 2,000. The average really good effect for increasing your strength will increase it by 1,000. So an effect that will increase it by 2,000 is really strong. Now you might only have 3 characters in there, but that's still 1,500. You might have 5 characters, and then it's even better at 2,500. So very strong card. I definitely prefer the 1.0 version to the 2.0 version, however. And number 7 is an army, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team. It's a 4,000, 2,000 army, so pretty standard army. 4,000 attacks, pretty good. But what really makes this card good is its effect. Interrupt. Just right off the bat. Interrupt on an army is insane. Right? You don't even have to use the effect. You just interrupt it down and you get 4,000 more attack or 2,000 more defense. I mean, even just used in that manner, this is a top 10 caliber card. But then you add in, its interrupt is when played, reverse the effects of an event card. It's a reverse, and it's an interrupt, and it's an army. There's nothing bad about this card. And this is the 1.0 version. At number 6 is the document Triple Alliance. And it is an interrupt. This is 2.0. Enables this card to combine up to 3 lands into 1 fighting force for 2 rounds. You combine the attack and defense of 3 lands for 2 rounds. How is 1 land supposed to fight against 3? It doesn't happen. Okay? It is a very strong card if you're going for combat and fighting victories. At number 6 is the Lost Colony of Roanoke 2.0. It's an event, interrupt, select one opponent's land. That land and all its cards are discarded, and that player loses 100 morale per card. Now, it sounds pretty good, but it doesn't sound too unlike other cards, except it makes them lose 100 morale for every card instead of like 400 set. But if you think about that, think about what it says. Select one opponent's land. All that land's cards are discarded, and that player loses 100 morale for every discard card. Lost Colony of Roanoke destroys the land itself. And as far as I'm aware, there's only one other card that does that. And stay tuned, it's coming up. It's just such a strong card to not only kill all the characters, not only make them lose morale, but also destroy the land itself. That is very strong. So that's the bottom 5. Before we get into the top 5, I got a couple honorable mentions. One of them is 1.0 Edward Teach, rare card. And it's such an underrated card. And yet it's such a good effect. One opponent's army and leader card loses their defense points for a whole turn. Unless that land is an American politician. There's very few American politicians, so that very rarely comes up. But army and a leader lose their defense for a whole turn. It's basically going to guarantee you 2 wins, and especially because they're not expecting you to be able to get over that kind of stuff. They might not have them protected very well, so you can really get out some value attacks with him. Another honorable mention is the invention of the atomic bomb. And a lot of you are probably going to say, what? How is that not top 10? It's not. Okay? The atomic bomb, the effect reads, the atomic bomb renders one of your opponent's lands unstable for 3 turns. All characters must be discarded. This is 1.0. And it sounds kind of good. I mean, you make it 3 turns that all the characters are dead, and you can't put any more in there. But it doesn't destroy the land, right? Like the Lost Colony of Roanoke. And also, it's a technology. And there are a lot of cards that once you get this out there, they will start playing their technology copiers, and you will get on the worst end of the atomic bomb war. Okay? It does not work out in your favor. It's a good card, but I do not think it is top 10 worthy. Back to the top 10, we'll get to number 5 now, is 1.0 Galileo Galilei. Just such a good card. Interrupt. Your civilization is safe from the effects of an opponent's event while he's active in your battlefield. That's the part I think a lot of people miss about him, is he's not, you play him, he keeps you safe from one opponent's event card, like a lot of cards do. He keeps you safe as long as he's on the battlefield, which is absurd. I have won games because players didn't know that he protects you as long as he's on your battlefield. And they thought that, oh, he did it once, now I can play a new one. No, I have won games off of this card, and then players not knowing how good he is. So if you have 1.0 Galileo Galilei, put him in your deck. He is a very good card. At number 4, I have a tie. 2 cards. They do basically exactly the same thing, so there's no way not to put them here together. It's Menodias, I don't even know how to say his name. Menodias and Emily Noether. And both their effects read exactly the same. They're 2.0, interrupt 1. Interrupt. Choose. Reverse the effects of an opponent's card's ability played against you. That's very important. Get back to that. Or increase your morale by 200 for every female in play. Both their effects read exactly the same. Card's ability played against you. These are the only 2 cards. And there's over 500 cards in Historical Conquest. These are the only 2 that allow you to reverse an effect, reverse a character card's effect. It is absurd, right? And or increase your morale by 200 for every female in play. It's not even in your civilization. It's on the entire board. Like if you're playing a 4-player game, you're basically guaranteed 800 morale off this. And what really makes them good for a morale rush deck is they're an interrupt gain morale. Which means there's an 800 morale cap on your turn, there's another one on their turn. And very rarely do you hit that cap on their turn. With this card, you can get 800 in your turn, interrupt in, get 800 in their turn, come back to you, play another couple cards, get 800 in your turn. You go It's 2,400 morale in 2 turns instead of 3. Like, if you're running Morale Rush, they're great for Morale Rush. If you're playing in a tournament and you own these cards, they are in your deck. The ability to reverse any card's effect is absurd, and the ability to Morale Rush is also absurd with both those cards. Now we get into the top 3, and these are 3 cards that I think are absurd. The top 2 are definitely absurd, need to get nerfed kind of thing. Number 3, Benjamin Talmadge. He doesn't need to get nerfed. He's just so super strong. And this is 1.0. He was a rare card. Your opponent cannot search or take any of your cards as long as he is in play. As long as he is in your battlefield, your opponent cannot take or search any of your cards. And, like, you just put him out there and they can't take your cards. And there are a lot of effects, and they're considered really strong, and especially in tournaments, lots of people will run them. So having him out there just shuts all that down and is very strong. And now we get to our top 2. And these are the 2 that were clear cut for me. Number 1 and 2, no doubt about it. And a lot of you might be surprised at number 1, but I think none of you are surprised at number 2. Actually, a lot of you will be surprised at number 2 because you thought it was going to be number 1. And it's 1.0, Mount Vesuvius. The most coveted card in the game. The rarest, most coveted card in the game for good reason. You know how I said the Lost Colony of Roanoke, its clone was going to come up here? Here it is. The Mount Vesuvius eruption destroys the opponent's land, just like the Lost Colony of Roanoke, and you take 500 morale from your opponent. Like, how is that fair? like Lost Colony of Roanoke, really solid, but it is dependent on you hitting a big land. This doesn't care. It is insane, and obviously it won't get nerfed or anything. Historical Conquest doesn't really do that with their cards, but it is so rare and so coveted that like there's nothing more to say. It's the one of, in my opinion, the second best card in the game. And there's no way that anyone's going to dispute it with you. But now we get to number 1. And this one was clear cut to me. There was no doubt in my mind what number 1 is. Number 1 is 2.0, Amos Fortune. A lot of you are saying, like, huh? What does he do? I've never even seen him before. Let me read his effect. With this card, you are granted the right to choose 3 characters from your deck and swap them for those already on your battlefield. Now, it's not quite as strong as it was originally thought to be after Zach made a video explaining that he cannot shuffle himself back into the deck with this ability. If you want to see Zach explain that, go over to his YouTube channel. You can find that video. But the ability to pick 3 of your characters, get rid of them, bring out 3 more. You guarantee yourself you can get 800 morale with him. You can get your Benjamin Talmadge, your Galileo. You can get your Mahatma Masada. You can get anything you want with this card. That is why he is the best card in Historical Conquest, no doubt in my mind. If you've enjoyed this list, please consider subscribing. Drop a like if you want to see more Historical Conquest action. Coming up, we're going to have beta testing for Historical Conquest video game coming out soon. When that comes out, I will be uploading here on the channel, hopefully, and I can't wait to share it all with you. Until then, BattleBots Reviewer saying so long for now.